Hey guys, this is Alex C. I hope you're doing great. I'm taking a moment today to talk to you about feeling grounded, what that means, and how you can achieve it. So, what I wanted to talk about in this is the notion that sometimes you're actually trying to get through the motions to do what you're supposed to be doing, quote unquote, and you just can't get super motivated and you're wondering if you're doing the right thing and you're wondering what you can do to find that energy and to really get in touch with what makes it meaningful. And the key is really in that last part, in having whatever you do have meaning. Of course, if you've watched a couple of my videos, you know that this is a topic I talk about quite a lot. But in this sense, I want to help you figure out how to reconnect with it when in the moment you just can't find that motivation. So if, for example, you are working on a purposeful project and you know that you want to make a difference, but you also happen to need a job on the side because you just do not have the ability right now to generate the resources that you need to sustain yourself through that purpose work. And that is something that a lot of people will face at first. It's normal. You need to take some time to build your projects into those self-sustaining and revenue generating projects that are going to enable you to then do your purpose work while being paid for it. So until that point comes, you might feel like whatever job you're in is soaking up all of your time, it's soaking your energy, and you're wondering, are you doing the right thing by doing that? Should you instead let go of all of that and focus purely on making your purpose happen? And if you can, if you actually have the means of doing that financially, then yeah, it can actually be a good idea to drop everything and leave. But very few people have enough money accumulated to be able to take, say, a year off entirely living on their savings. And some people have the idea that starting their projects is going to happen in a couple of weeks or, maybe a month or two. But in truth, any big projects, you'll find there are many, many things which you could not have accounted for. And basically, once you've done a few of those, you realize that you should give yourself quite a bit of time. Any project which is significant, you should expect to take at the very least 3 months, and more often than not, between 6 and 12 months, I should say, to be able to fulfill. And if it's a business, then you need to expect that you might not be turning any profit in the first year. In fact, it's common for businesses to start really getting above that margin where they are making money on top of paying their expenses in the second or third year. So keep that in mind if you're going to try to start something. I'm not saying this to discourage you. I'm saying this so that you are aware of what you need to be ready for and what you need to plan for. So in those circumstances, it makes a lot of sense to keep a second source of income going. And that second source of income is going to feel at some times like it's taking the energy that you would want to invest into something else and wasting it. And sometimes also you'll have people who end up spending a lot more time doing that work than they actually need to, out of sense of just going through as well as they can, of accomplishing everything that comes by, seizing opportunities and the like. But you need to keep in mind that what you want to do is actually to get back to your purpose work as soon as possible. So while it is a good thing to have a job to sustain you while you're not able to do that full time, that is, while you're not able to work on your purpose work and be paid to do that full time, it's also important that you keep in mind why you're doing that, that you realize that that is actually a part of your plan to fulfill your purpose. So if you start being discouraged by your work, keep in mind the importance that it has, not in terms of the actual work that you're doing, if it's not something that's so appealing to you, but in terms of it being a means of sustaining your project. So it's the lifeblood of the project's creator, you, who is obviously the most important piece in the project, because if you're not able to sustain yourself, then you're not able to move the project forward at all. So try to look at it this way. It's not something that's external to your project. It's not something that's holding you back from working on it. It's actually a part of your project. It's the part which allows the rest of the project to move forward. So the goal then becomes to have that take as little as your time and energy as possible. So if you manage to get something that pays maybe a bit better but takes a lot of your energy, you'll want to try and replace that by something that, even though it might be a bit less well paid, it's actually allowing you to come back home fully energized and ready to invest yourself in moving the project forward. Otherwise, you will never get rid of that situation. The other thing that you see when it's not that people are unable to stay motivated and that they're spending too much time in their business or their current work, I should say, is that, again, they're not able to focus on what really matters. So if you spread yourself too thin over too many activities, you're going to have a very hard time moving anything significantly. So you want to be able to focus on what matters most, especially when you come back home, so that you're able to concentrate on the one or two things that make the biggest difference. People who are very caring tend to spend a lot of time trying to address everything that comes up, to jump on every wagon that comes along. Some people just try to seize every opportunity. That sounds great in theory, but in practice, it's really diluting your attention, and it's basically making sure that none of your projects will ever come to fruition. So try to keep that in mind. You want to, yes, sustain yourself, but then you want to keep most of your time and energy focused on the one or two things that make the biggest difference. You want to make choices based on that also. So you need to learn to say no the vast majority of the time, unless it really is directly linked to doing that big difference that you care about doing. So try to keep those things in mind. Hopefully that was useful to you guys. I hope you will have the best of luck and be able to maintain